The big questions tonight. Will the Supreme Court order ensure transparency in the NEET results now? Is a NEET retest out of the question? Was the paper leak localized or widespread? Who is going to be held accountable? And how does one avoid a repeat of the NEET mess this year? I'm joined once again by Maheshwar Perry, founder, chairman, Careers 360. He's been with us tracking this NEET issue very closely. Dr. Subramaniam Swaminathan is one of the country's leading doctors, director, infectious diseases at Gleneagles Global City in Chennai. Dr. Rahul Chawla is neurologist, writer and a NEET mentor. Keshav Karunakar is a parent of a NEET aspirant. Vivek Priyadarshi is a NEET aspirant, wants the retest. Molly Agarwal is a NEET aspirant who doesn't want the retest. I'm going to first come to those who have a direct interest in the NEET exam because they're either appearing for the exam or the parents of NEET aspirants. Let me start with you, Keshav Karunakar, because you're a parent of a NEET aspirant. Are you today, when the Supreme Court indicates no need for a retest, the government says this is very localized, only 150 students may have benefited from the NEET paper leaks, does that give you a sense of satisfaction that the examination isn't really the so-called paper leak isn't widespread, or do you believe the government is hiding something as a parent?
Yeah, hi Rajdeep, good evening. Thanks for having me. I am against re-NEET. My ward has scored 695, and from day one, on the media channels, I'm telling that this paper leak is not widespread. Today, almost Mr. Huda proved that 3rd May the paper was leaked, but Mr. Tushar Mehta brought the facts from the CBI inquiry, and it was established that 5th it was leaked from the Hazaribagh, it went to Patna, solved and solved, and other things happened. On the today, I'm very happy with CGI, to be very frank. 4 hours hearing, I noted down every words. Few things that is important here is, one is that on the Godhra incident, CGI should have asked that how did they get the center allocated. He was coming to the point, but NTA was not answering this. The point is that people don't get selected is not the answer, but on what basis they could manage to get the center, this is a subject of investigation. My litigation, I have litigated NTA in the Supreme Court. My case number was 21, which was not taken. I have been telling from day one that what is the factor of rank inflation, and that is what is most important thing to be done. I did the data analysis, and I presented one paper also that how the rank inflation has happened because of the physics atom question, and that is what I have filed in this one. Today CGI has noticed that 17 students have scored 720 out of 720, and 44 has come into rank 1 because of 2 options answers. Now we have given a proof how NTA is wrong in doing that by establishing that we are using a book published before 2020, which NCERT director has told that no, you can't use it. Book has been redone in 2020. We are doing 2024 exam, but NTA wants to go back and take a position that 2018 book or 19 book I want to use in 2024. If this is taken care, I'm just telling you, if CGI does it, at least at the top till 695, there'll be rank deflation up to 100%. I'm telling you.
Okay, so you're still...
But at every number, it will be 3x to 4x.
Right.
That is fact. At 695, 600, it will go to 1800. That's what my understanding is. But I don't think it is going to make much change. Okay. And again, just one point, Rajdeep. The Supreme Court has told to give result of 24 lakhs. This will give an data analytics that to happen. I request one thing to coaching institutes who have been shouting from the roof. They should publish their own result of 50,000 students, because everybody goes to some coaching institute saying that how many of them they doubt at least that these guys have got through the malpractice. Be it center fixing, grace marks, bonus marks, whatever it is there. At least 50,000 students. This is what my demand is. Otherwise, I'm very happy with CGI. He has been really well informed, asking right question, and he was bringing all the points to the thing. And I'm just really
going to stop you, Keshav. I've allowed you to get, because you are an affected party, therefore, and you've been involved in this case. You're saying at least the Supreme Court has raised valid questions today, but you still have concerns, particularly of the number of students who maxed that paper at 720, and you would like that issue to be re-examined. Vivek Priyadarshi, you're a NEET aspirant who wants a retest at the moment. Why do you want a retest, given the fact that the government is claiming, and the Supreme Court seems to be more or less accepting it, that this was localized to particular areas in Hazaribagh, in Patna? It was not as if the paper was leaked across India.
Good morning, sir. Sir, I am Vivek Priyadarshi and I got 622 marks. सर मेरे मार्क्स ज़्यादा अच्छे तो नहीं थे बट इतने थे कि लास्ट ईयर के अकॉर्डिंग मुझे कॉलेज मिल जाता।
जी
सर मेरे मम्मी पापा ने बड़ी मुश्किल से जमीन पे कर्जा लिया था, उसके बाद मुझे कोटा भेजा पढ़ने के लिए, फिर मैं सर 622 मार्क्स लाया। अगर सर मेरे को कॉलेज नहीं, और सर इस बार के एग्जाम की वजह से मेरे को रैंक बहुत बुरा मिला है। आई गॉट 55,000 रैंक समथिंग सर, जिसकी वजह से मुझे कॉलेज नहीं मिलेगा और बहुत बुरा रहेगा। हमारी फैमिली
नहीं, पर
और
आपके
ज्यादा
आपके
प्रॉब्लम में आ जाएगी।
नहीं, आप कह रहे हैं कि आपका रैंक कम हुआ है इस बार, लेकिन आपके ऊपर के जो लोग हैं, क्या आपको लगता है वो सब ने चीटिंग से वो मार्क लिए हैं? यू कैन नॉट से दैट जिनको 720 716 मिले हैं, उनके मार्क अच्छे मिले तो क्या हम तो सरकार क्या कर सकती है?
सर बहुत सारे बच्चों ने, ऐसा हो सकता है कि बहुत सारे बच्चों ने मेहनत करी है। सर हमारी क्लास में, हमारे बैच में सर बहुत सारे बच्चे ऐसे थे जो 700 तक मार्क्स लाए हैं नीट में। लेकिन सर इतना ज्यादा जो मार्क्स में 720 मार्क्स लाए हैं सर, 60 to 70 बच्चे हैं उनमें, और सर इतना ज्यादा रैंक जो हुआ है सर, ये नामुमकिन है सर। 3 गुना 4 गुना रैंक बढ़ गया है
तो
पिछली बार
आपको
से।
लगता है ये जो 720 जिनको मिला है, आप कन्विंस नहीं है कि उनको वाकई उतना मिलना चाहिए था? सही?
यस सर।
Okay, so you are worried about the marks inflation. I'm also with Molly Agarwal. Molly, you're a NEET aspirant who doesn't want the retest. Now you heard Vivek saying that he's not confident that those who have got 720 or 700 plus, most of them, according to him, may have benefited. How do you respond?
So even I am very sad about the rank inflation issue, and I'm very concerned about it because I'm not happy with my rank as well. But for a few students who have scored, I don't know how many, but for few students who have scored really good marks with cheating or either any bad means, we cannot say the every student's hard work was not not honest, or it should be neglected.
So
And
you
re-exam
think
should
that
be
it would be
conducted for
unfair to
everyone.
cancel the entire exam? Am I correct?
Yes, sir. It would be very difficult for each and every student, whether me, whether anyone else, to once again learn all the chapters again and give the examination.
Okay. I've heard these three voices just to give our viewers a sense that this is still a contentious issue. The court is hearing the matter. The National Testing Agency's lawyer, the Solicitor General Tushar Mehta, insisting that this is localized, that the entire exam has not been compromised. But even if 150 students have benefited, many will say that's 150 too many, Dr. Subramaniam Swaminathan. The fact that the country's premier exam, 2 months later, the exam held in the first week of May, we are now in the third week of July, and there are these clouds of uncertainty still over it, being battled out in the court. What does that say? If 150 students benefited in some way or the other, that they had the exam papers, whether 45 minutes earlier or 3 days earlier, there is something seriously wrong.
See, I see two major issues here. The first one is there are patterns which are not being addressed. Everybody is focusing on what happened in Bihar, but there were a group of people who got a perfect score in certain centers outside of Bihar, which statistically sounds most unlikely. The numbers just don't add up. So that is another issue. If I were the NEET guys, I would get an expert committee talking to everybody who scored above 700 to try and find out which of them cheated. Because
how would you know that?
Anybody over a score of 700.
No, but how would you find out that someone who scored over 700 cheated?
Absolutely good question. So let me tell you, when I talk to some of the students who come through, please understand the blaseness in the cheating is so bad that their basic knowledge is pathetic. And therefore, they will be very quickly caught out when you start asking them simple questions and they realize that they have only the ability to memorize the answers to the questions. They don't know what the questions are. Please keep that in mind. The second issue is, this is a bigger problem which I don't think people are addressing. You are training people to become doctors and take care of patients. In which world is it acceptable to even let one person who is incompetent and does not have a moral compass to take care of human lives? I am sorry, even one person should not be allowed. Accepting, even saying like, okay, maybe only 10 people will escape. Would you want one of those 10 handling your family
So
members'
are you saying that even if there are 150 and this was localized, the leak, that's not good enough? You are calling for a retest? Or are you saying that at least test out all those who got a certain rank or certain marks to find out whether they actually match a 720 score?
See, I would definitely at least look at those who got 700 and above to see how many of them were real. The point is that, see, you are
but that's very difficult to test. Isn't that very difficult?
You may say so. No. You look at the downside of it. These are people who will be handling your life and my life in their hands. You think that is easy? That is cheap? No. If you thought this was bad, putting people's lives in their hands is even more dangerous. I would not want them handling patients' lives.
But how will you have an objective, doctor? How will you have an objective criteria to find out that? What is that objective criteria?
So, this is not without precedent. Please understand, we have never done this as part of NEET. Many years ago, when I was a school student, they used to have all these search examinations like NTSC and all that stuff. They used to have really smart people. Even today, it happens for IAS selection, all that, where they have smart people sitting on the panel, where they can weed out the wheat from the chaff. They know who is lying and who is not. Mm-hmm. All you need is smart people sitting together and looking at every candidate, talking to them. It will come out very quickly. I'm not saying it's 100% perfect, but a good student who knows his subject will be able to hold up against a good interview process.
Okay.
And a student who has only cheated and come through will get found out.
Okay.
Don't have any
you're at least giving us something which you believe is a disruptive, some would say, solution, suggesting those who got 700 marks and above, that 720 is max. You need to relook at some of their papers, or at least put them through some kind of an objective test system. Controversial, but at least it's a point out there. Dr. Rahul Chawla, do you agree with that? Do you believe, as Dr. Subramanian is suggesting, that there will need, Dr. Swaminathan suggesting there will need to be some system by which at least those who seem to have got inflated marks, according to some, are tested in some independent way?
Rajdeep sir, theoretically it seems to be a very valid point, but pragmatically it is not possible. We're already seeing that, so many students have given exam, 23 lakh students. The matter is in court. CBI is conducting inquiry. So I think Supreme Court is the best person, best authority to decide the future of the students. But whole objectivity should be followed while deciding the course for what happens to the future of those students. Now, the thing is that around, they have said that the beneficiary, only 150 students are the beneficiary. So I don't know how they have reached to that number and how we can decide that only 150 students have benefited. It is true that the paper leak must have happened in, few spots here and there. But in this time, in the social media generation, how is it not possible that paper could have reached to any far-fetched place? How are we going to evaluate that?
So you're saying that when in the court today, the National Test Agency's council said it's only 150 students.
Yes.
They seem to be backing what IIT Madras also has said. You're saying there is no way anyone can prove that it's only 150 students. It could be more.
Yes.
Am I correct?
Yes.
You're saying more than 150 students could benefit through social media? You want to explain how through social media? Are you saying that they could have got the paper on Telegram? They could have got it on some specific app?
Exactly. We can't really say for sure if the person who is involved in paper leak, he has not passed that paper to somebody else. If suppose the paper leak happened in Gujarat or Patna, how do we know that the same person did not send that paper to somebody sitting in Kerala or Delhi or Haryana? And now we have, cases like in Haryana, wherein a single center produced 8 toppers, 8 students getting, more than 710 ranks, which is really not possible.
Right. So you're saying this could well be more widespread. The CBI is already investigating across 6 states. Maheshwar Perry, do you think, as we asked you this question a couple of weeks ago, that the government is not coming clean yet? The government has failed to come clean on where they stand really on the NEET exam in terms of just how widespread it is, the paper leak.
Yeah, I think completely, Rajdeep. Last time also we spoke about this, where we talked of how if the data center-wise is to be disclosed, there might be something that people will be able to analyze, right? The most important
That's
thing
what
in
they're
this
doing
entire,
on Saturday. That's what they're doing on Saturday, Mahesh.
We need.
That's what the government says, the
absolutely.
court says they'll do.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. I understand that. I understand that. Exactly, right. It's very important for us to restore the credibility of an examination. At this point in time, this examination is in question, suspicious, and every student suspects it, right? This data disclosure would ensure that at least the students will not have any more questions if the data is clean.
Right.
And NTA in this entire saga has been behaving like State Bank of India in electoral bond scam. You know, what is the purpose of saying that we don't want to disclose data? Let me tell you, Rajdeep, at state counseling, each of this data is disclosed by each state counseling department. This NTA data, whatever you're talking of NEET, at a state counseling, every state discloses that with the name and phone, roll number and marks and everything, because that's how the counseling is going to happen at the state level. NTA holds the all India examination, but the same data goes to each state for inter-se merit. And there all data is disclosed. So there is no reason why the NTA should be protesting or saying that they don't want to divulge data, because this data is disclosed at a state level. You go to any like NEET-PG, for example, all data is disclosed by the same NTA, right? So NTA has been found miserly in terms of its, to disclose data at every single point till it has been demanded by Supreme Court, and that for me is extremely, I don't find myself comfortable. So hopefully with this data coming out, and if nothing is found, good luck to them. But if something is found, then there is a possibility.
No, so what is
the other part of it?
So what would trouble you? Just a minute, Mahesh. Just to get for our audiences, at 12 noon, Saturday 12 noon, the NTA will have to give the list of the students, their results, without disclosing the identity of the students, but clearly indicating examination centers. What, according to you, would confirm that this is more widespread than the government is claiming merely from those examination centers? What is it that you're going to be looking out for?
So, for example, there are about 4,500 plus centers, Rajdeep. If 50 of these centers were to have people, about more than 10-15% students who are getting more than less than 50,000 rank, it's a red flag for me. Because, like, they talked of Jaipur, where there are, they talk of a complete city and say in Jaipur you have 9 toppers, right? I'm not looking at 9 toppers from Jaipur. I'm looking at whether that 9 toppers possibly come from 1 or 2 centers. And assuming that happens, you know that there is something that is creating a problem, because statistically certain things are not possible. Like, for example, of the 4,500 centers, let's assume that 25-30 centers have, of the top 30,000 rankers, about 1,000 rankers come from these top 30 centers. It will be a red flag for me, because it should be evenly spread, if that is what the IIT Madras report says, and that's what the government has been claiming in the court today.
Okay, so
right? For sure, like, for example, what happened in Jajjar, where because they disclosed the top 100, you actually found 8 students coming from one single center. If a similar thing comes in 4-5 other cases, Rajdeep, you actually have a problem in your hand.
So you're telling me, let's get this very clear. If on Saturday, many of the toppers, you have more judges out there, where 7 or 8 toppers are from a particular examination center in another part of the country, you believe that's a red flag. Am I correct?
Yeah, so what I'm saying is, if you take the top 30,000 rank, right, 30,000 rank, because ultimately up to 30,000, 40,000 rank, you get a seat of a public institution right?
Right.
If for a few centers, you actually have a concentration of such people who are getting this less than 40,000 rank, which is, as compared to previous years, is not the case, right? You will, I think there will be a red flag out there.
Okay. Keshav Karunakar?
Because Rajdeep, one of the things that was said, Rajdeep,
go ahead.
Rajdeep, one of the things, in the Supreme Court that is not, that was disclosed but not completely true, is that the council was saying that, the counseling goes on to a point where up to 2.5 lakh rank students get into the college. No, it's not 2.5 lakh. Even a 10 lakh ranker in this country gets a college in a private college. And that's the reason why you actually make it 164 out of 720, which is 21% mark, 23% marks, because you want to expand the pool of students which are available for this counseling, because many of these private colleges, because of the high fee, cannot fill in their seats, right? So it's not a 2.5 lakh game or whatever. It is a 10 lakh, 11 lakh. Every student who qualifies, actually, if they want to pay, if they can pay for it, normally gets into a college. That's a fact.
Okay.
The only simple thing for me is that if another 10 judges come out now where the rank is less than 3,000 also, not the topper by the way, less than 3,000 also, it will still be a red flag for me because they're taking away a good aim seat from someone else.
Okay. I've got your point. Keshav Karunakar, you want to respond as a parent of a NEET aspirant? You're hearing voices from respected doctors as well as those who track the education sector saying, look, the government is not being entirely honest with the students or with the country when they say this is highly localized. All of them are raising different red flags. You, on the other hand, told me at the outset you have no problem. You believe that the Supreme Court and the NTA are proceeding in the right direction.
Yeah. So, Rajdeep, I have problem with NTA. I'm not saying that I don't have problem with NTA. NTA, what Maheshwari has told, that is not transparent, not showing the data, has been lying to the truth, like it is fact, right? If they would have, this is the mess created by NTA only. So I'm not defending NTA, to be very frank. I just want to add one thing. Dr. Swaminathan has got a very good point. Rajdeep, if you want to find out 2,000 people who have got 700 marks plus, if you want to find who is good or who is bad, it takes only half an hour. Dial all the coaching institutes, give them the number. They will give you the consistency performance of these guys.
No, but you see the worry. But you see, once you either you then scrap the exam and do a retest. You can't then do a test only for the 2,000 students.
No.
That will be. You think that if I have got more than 700 marks, you're going to penalize me for doing well by asking me to do another exam?
No, I'm not in favor of. I'm saying that if somebody has a doubt that 700 plus people have got marks because of cheating, it takes only half an hour to find it out. To be very frank, there is only one case that has happened. Which the girl has got 705 and she was failed in the board. So you ask questions, Dr. Swaminathan, how can you find it out?
Okay, Dr. Swaminathan, why don't you answer this question of the parent? Because this, you have really put the cat among the pigeons by saying all the students, there are about 2,000 odd, who've got more than 700 out of 720, subject them to some kind of a test system to find out whether they have the ability or not to get such high marks.
Hang on. As far as I understand, the number of people who got above 700 is 382. I don't know if my number is wrong. That's the number I read online. Maybe I got it wrong.
Because how much is it, Karunathan?
2,200 rank is
that's right.
700 marks. I'm just telling you. And
okay, that makes it a lot more difficult. I was under the impression that it was under 400, which should have been far easier. But if it's 2,000, then yeah. Then it becomes unviable.
But
we don't have enough time to do this.
No, Swaminathan, I'll tell you, it is very easy. It is not that tough. So I'm adding to your point, right? How to find out this question of 700 people have got good or not. 700 people, you can take another 5 minutes to ask one question and they'll answer you that what was the answer they have given on that day. If they are true, if they have remembered, marked and all those things, when I used to take exam, I have done campus in engineering colleges. We used to take and ask the question, ask only, what is the answer that you have marked it here, and find out who has guessed it, who has corrected it. So here, I can trust me, I have gone to 3 coaching institute award function in Bangalore. Not a single student I found out who is not deserving. 650 plus, I'm telling you, in Bangalore city.
Okay.
Not a single student.
Okay,
forget about 700, 710.
Okay, let me get in more voice. Dr. Rahul Chawla, is it fair on these students, in your view, who have got more than 700 plus, who are all set to get into the top colleges, now to be told, no, you'll have a retest because we are not sure of your numbers?
Sir, we have to understand that these students are not those who must have scored 300 or 400 and now suddenly they have scored 700. It might not have happened. What might have happened is that these students could have been those who must have been in the range of 550 to 650, but somehow, if some of them gets access to the paper, their scores could have increased from 620, from 650 to above 700.
So you're saying it's actually the group between 650 and 700 who may have benefited. Am I correct?
Exactly. Also because, there had been a case in Patna wherein the student who was caught. So the student got the paper, he memorized the paper, but still he could not get the desired marks because he did not have the caliber. Even to memorize the paper,
right?
To memorize all those questions, you need some brain. You need to know the basics.
Sure.
Okay.
But we come back to the question of whether a retest is the solution. Vivek Priyadarshi, you're hearing all these voices. आपको अभी भी लगता है retest ही करना है या कहीं ना कहीं आपको लगता है अब धीरे धीरे समय जैसे बीतता जाएगा अब रीटेस्ट के चांसेस बहुत कम हो गए हैं?
सर जब जब अगर हम एक आतंकवादी को देखते हैं वो लोगों को मारता है तो हम उसके खिलाफ बहुत जल्दी खड़े हो जाते हैं कि ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए, कैंडल मार्च निकालते हैं वगैरह वगैरह।
जी
सर जो पटना में केसेस आए थे, जो बच्चों ने पेपर लीक किया था, और सर जो अब तक जितने केसेस आ चुके हैं, अगर सर वो केसेस नहीं पकड़े जाते, वो डॉक्टर बन जाते, वो सर कितने लोगों को किल करते, ये किसी ने नहीं सोचा। और सर ऐसे अभी बहुत सारे लोग होंगे जो अभी तक नहीं पकड़े गए होंगे, लेकिन वो मेडिकल कॉलेज पा जाएंगे और सर वो आने वाले टाइम में हमारे इंडिया के लिए बहुत बुरा फ्यूचर तैयार करेंगे।
Molly Agarwal, you're hearing all these points. You're still certain. What was your rank, by the way? How many marks have you got?
So actually, even I belong to those 1,563 students who earlier got the grace marks. Then my grace marks was cut out, and without grace marks, my score is 631. I belong from Chhattisgarh, and in my center also, we were giving wrong paper at first, which was from Canara Bank. After 45 minutes, they handed me the right paper, which was kept at the SBI Bank. So due to that, I was not able to score much more than 631. I completed my paper like in just 2 hours or something like that, and they didn't give us the extra time they promised. And my rank is nearly 46,000.
Your rank is 46,000. Therefore, you will probably not get into a government college of your choice. What do you then intend to do, Molly?
So I am basically hoping for, still hoping to get a government college, but yeah, it's not according to my expectations, because I know if there wasn't any problem like the time problem, whatever I faced at my center, I could have scored much better, and I'm not really ready for giving the exam once again. So I would better accept it, and I'm just hoping for the best, that
Right.
God gives me the best college I deserve. Yeah.
When I hear these voices, Maheshwar Perry, there seems something seriously wrong in the way, here are students saying she didn't get enough time, 45 minutes late the paper came. I mean, we are a large country, lakhs of students are appearing, something has gone wrong. And the NTA is simply not being held accountable enough. In the entire hearings in the court today, there was no sense that the NTA was contrite. You see, when I was hearing Tushar Mehta was the Solicitor General, wasn't giving any sense of accountability. You see, you remove one DG of NTA, that's hardly enough. He's the scapegoat.
So, Rajdeep, very clearly, NTA doesn't have its hands clean. There is no question about that. Like I was listening to Mauli and Vivek, at 620 last time the rank was about 15,000. This time it's 50,000, 60,000. How would we respond to both Mauli and Vivek of what exactly happened that such as inflation happened? Whatever you do now, we can't justify it to these kids, because these people have been told that if you get 620, 630, you're going to get into a good college. Yes. And that doesn't seem to happen. It's gone up by 300%. And there doesn't seem to be a response from anyone other than saying that, oh, syllabus has been reduced. No, syllabus has been reduced, but some other topics have been added, and that's been hidden. So every single time NTA is giving a response, it's hiding certain things and telling half-truths. And that for me is a big, big problem. Even today, when NTA was protesting center-wise declaration of result, it shocked me, because it is done at a state level. What is the big problem of NTA of not disclosing this particular thing here? And they do it for NEET-PG also. Every single time, NTA has been found stingy in terms of its response, in terms of its transparency, in terms of being, ensuring that they come clean on this entire subject.
No, so how do you ensure NTA comes clean?
Children than anything else.
So how do we ensure NTA comes clean? The Supreme Court has said, is that a step forward to say that, look, you have got to publish by Saturday 12 noon the details of all the examination centers? Is this now moving in the direction of electoral bonds, where journalists, where people like you will then go through it, sift through it? That's are we heading again in the same way, because the government is not giving, because NTA is not being honest with the people of this country?
Absolutely. The moment the results are declared, the center-wise results are declared, Rajdeep, in my opinion, you will actually have a bunch of people who will go through their own data, and if there is some kind of a skew that is found, as even the Supreme Court was talking of, if more than the 3-4 names that we're talking about, the most cues that such as Jajjar or something else is found, trust me, it will get into a problem. And I'm just hoping that it doesn't happen. Honestly, personally, if you ask me, I don't want a NTA to be so destroyed that the exam itself is destroyed in the country. But it's important for NTA to come clean, and that this is the first step. I think Supreme Court is forcing NTA to be transparent for its own good and nothing else.
You know, the fact though is, and I will give the final word to you there, Dr. Subramaniam in Chennai. I mean, you've been a leading doctor. What's your message to the young today? There are young, listening to this program. I am the son of I am the father of a young son who's a doctor, did the NEET PG. I've seen the trauma that youngsters go through to crack this exam. Is there as a leading doctor, what will you tell the young who are watching, aspirants, the next generation, those who want to do NEET next year? They're seeing all of this and must wonder, how do I fulfill my dream to be a doctor?
Why did you have to pick on me? So I'm already telling my children not to get into healthcare because I'm worried about the way things are going. And all the points that you've said are very relevant. We need course correction and we need a deep dive into what's happening. NTA needs massive changes. There needs to be a big overhaul. I've talked about this in another forum where the whole testing mechanism itself needs to be overhauled. But as far as students are concerned, understand that the test is just one part of your life. Never believe that one test is going to change your entire future. Yes, these things are important, but when you're 17, 18 or 20, this 1 year looks like a big deal. Do not get disheartened. When I look back, I'm 50 now. When I look back, that 1 year is of absolutely very little consequence. So please don't get frustrated. I understand this is unfair to you guys. I understand this is frustrating, but stay with it. We have to improve the system from the inside. We have to peacefully push.
But you've told me that you will not make your children get into the healthcare sector.
That's up to them. See, that's up to them. Please let me make this very clear. I encourage everybody to follow their passion and do what is best for them. But
no, you told me at the outset. You told me at the outset today, doctor, I don't want my children to get into the healthcare sector. When I hear this from leading doctors, I get very, very worried.
Yes, my wife and I are very clear about that. My wife is also a doctor. We are very clear about that we don't think that healthcare is going in the right direction. The atmosphere as far as healthcare is concerned is degenerating. And obviously, there is not enough being done in terms of the quality of education. I think a lot of things need to be done. Course correction can be done.
Right.
But if we don't do it, this is not the right way to go.
That is very, very troubling to hear at one level. It would be extremely sad if a country which aspires to global aspirations cannot conduct these exams in a manner that is transparent, that keeps students' interests first. All these protests that you've seen on the street are a wake-up call. Enough is enough. The government needs to wake up to the reality of how these exams are conducted. The Supreme Court today has put a rap on the knuckles, but is that enough to get the system right again? I thank all my guests for joining me on this NEET exam, a story that we will keep tracking.